Hey, Kaden. Hey, Astrid. Hey, Admiris. Hey, Marlo. Hey, Sergio.
Oh, I know.
All right, remember, y'all, make sure you go ahead and take your attendance, and you should be able to see what page we're going to start on in our packet. It should be up on the screen. Give everybody a little bit more time.
I just did really fast.
Good morning, Gianni. Yep. Good morning, Chastity. Everyone should be taking their attendance, and on the screen you can see what page we're on from our packet, so get that open. All right, so far everyone that's here has their attendance done. Good job, y'all being on time and ready to go. Let's wait for a couple more people. Good morning, Jonathan. Good morning, Mia. Jonathan, make sure you take your attendance, sweetie.
Yeah.
And then you should see what page we're on the screen. Get that open out of your packet. All right, it's about time, y'all, that I'm going to rejoin because I can't see the sharing screen. Can anyone? Oh, wait, I might be wrong. Give me a sec, Marwell. Give me a sec. I might not have shared the right screen, guys. Thank you, Marwell. Now, can you all see the sharing screen? Okay, sorry. Thank you for telling me. I don't know what happened there. All right, so I'll give you guys a second. We should be starting, but we still have a couple stragglers, and I'll give you all a second to find that page since it was not up. Come on, Caden, you're late, buddy. Let's get that attendance done so we can get started. Come on, Kendall, you're late, girl. Let's get that attendance done so we can get started. All right, Caden and Kendall have their attendance done. Everyone should see the screen that we're on. So you know what page we're on in our packet, okay? You know the deal. We do notes together. You write them down, so then you can turn them in, and then you'll have some problems that you're going to try on your own as well. But most importantly, what we do together, you need to make sure you're doing as well, okay? Remember, I do it for you guys, not for me, so make sure you're joining in. If you have a question, you can either unmute yourself or type in the chat, or if you need me to slow down, just let me know. You guys did great last week. We got one more week, and then I guess today we should, at the board meeting is tonight at 6 o'clock, so we should have some idea if we are going to go back or if this is going to proceed on. So by tomorrow, I guess I should be able to tell y'all what the deal is, okay? All right, let's get started. So before we look at this elimination method, we're still looking at systems of equations. So we're still going to have two equations, and we're going to solve them by eliminating. Okay, but remember, before we talk about what elimination is, there's three different types of solutions that you could possibly have when you are solving any systems of equations. Okay, remember, you could get one solution, oops, which means you get an x and a y, you get 1 point, and that would be if your lines intersected. I guess that should say intersecting lines. You could possibly get no solution, and that is if you have parallel lines.
Hi.
Remember, parallel lines have the same slope. Or you could get infinite solutions. That means there is a million ordered pairs that satisfy those equations because your lines are exactly the same. So they touch at every single point. So there's infinite points that make those equations true. Okay, so we're still getting the three different types of solutions. We're just going to solve it a different way. We're going to solve it by eliminating. We're going to use the elimination method. Okay, and the elimination method is a method for solving systems of equations by adding or subtracting to eliminate a variable. You should have room. Let me just double check and make sure you have room on your paper. Oh yeah, we'll write that when we get to the next part, but we should have room. All right, so go ahead and make sure you have that copied down. All right, let's go on to the steps that we need to solve in order to eliminate. Oops. Oops. What am I doing here? There we go. Steps to solve in order to use elimination. You got to make sure the equations are lined up. And then you're going to add or subtract the equations to eliminate the variable with common coefficients. I'm going to explain that to you in 1 minute, okay? And then you're going to solve for the remaining variable. And then if you're able to solve for a variable, then you're going to substitute your answer into either the original equation and solve for that other variable that you may be missing. It looks to me like you have some room. We got to write something on the side here, and it looks like you have some room down here. So deciding whether you're adding or subtracting. Once you do step one, once you make sure your equations are lined up, you're going to need to decide if you add or subtract. We add if our coefficients are opposite. Remember, opposite means one number is positive, the other number is negative. So, Brigham, he accidentally dropped something. So they're the same numbers, one is a positive and one's a negative. That's when I will use addition. Remember, coefficients are numbers in front of variables. So if the coefficients are opposite, I'm going to add to eliminate them. I subtract if coefficients are the same. I would subtract to eliminate them. Oops. And the same means one's positive 5, one's positive 5, one's negative 5, one's negative 5. They have to be exactly the same. That's when I would use subtraction. Remember, coefficients are numbers in front of variables. Kaden, you'll just have to write everything down on paper then, sweetie. There's nothing else I can tell you to do, honey. So grab a sheet of paper, notebook paper, and just write it all down on paper. You got to have this prepared ahead of time. I told you that. If you can't print it, you just write it all down. All right, so our main thing is to make sure our equations are lined up. Then we're going to decide if we add or subtract. Whether coefficients are opposite, I'll add. If coefficients are the same, I'll subtract. And then we're going to solve. All right, so let's go ahead and see how we're going to do this. I apologize if you hear background noise. My kids are on their meets today also. So, all right, remember, we're not going to do every question. So we're going to jump to question number 4 first. So if you look at question number 4, step 1 is to make sure your equations are lined up. They have to be in standard form. You have to have x and y together on one side. X's need to be lined up, y's need to be lined up. And then the constant numbers after your equal sign. And it looks like everything's lined up. So step 1 is complete.
When I was doing that moving thing.
Oh, you guys are everything?
All right, so now I need to look at my coefficients, and I need to see if coefficients are the same or opposite. So let's look at the coefficients on x. One's a positive 4, one's a negative 2. Those are not opposite and they're not the same, so I can't use them. Look at my coefficients on y. One is a positive 2, one's a positive 2. It looks to me like those are the same. Same tells me I subtract to eliminate them. The reason why they eliminate is because 2y minus 2y becomes 0. So then I'm going to need to subtract everything else. So let's show our work. 4x minus negative 2x.
Double 4?
4 minus negative 2 would be what? 8x? And then 6 minus 18. Oh, Lord, y'all. Did anyone catch me do something silly there? What am I even thinking right now? 4 minus negative 2. Double negative turns into a positive. That should be 6, not 8. Anybody catch that? No one's saying anything? Yell at me, people. All right, then 6 minus 18 is what? What's 6 minus 18? What's 6 minus 18? Very good, Gianni. Right, now let's finish solving for x. If I divide both sides by 6, x equals negative 12. Remember, once you get one variable to equal something, it's got to be one solution. I solved for x, so put it in the x spot. I need to now find y. Remember, in order to find y, I'm trying to see my equations here. In order to find y, take what x equals and plug it into one of these equations. I'm just going to, it doesn't matter which one you use. We're all going to get the same answer. I'm going to use that top one. So 4 times x, which x is now negative 2. Finish writing that top one. Plus 2y equals 6. I got to do this multiplication first. So negative 8 plus 2y equals 6. Can't touch 2y until I get rid of negative 8. So add 8. So 2y equals what? 6 plus 8 is 14. Finish getting y by itself by dividing by 2. So 14 divided by 2 is 7. So these points intersect at that one solution, -2, 7. Any questions that we have on number 4? If you decided to use the bottom equation to plug x back into, you would have gotten the same exact answer as long as you did your work right. Okay, so you still would have gotten y = 7. All right, anybody else? Questions? All right, let's go ahead and check what number we're going to next. Everybody got that down? All right, let's jump to number 7 next. All right, remember your first step is to make sure that you have your x's and y's lined up and they're on the same side. So 1x and 3x, they're lined up. -1y, +1y, they're lined up. Equal signs lined up, and your constant numbers are lined up. So you're ready to go. You need to decide if you're going to use addition or subtraction. But you need to remember addition if my coefficients are opposite, subtraction if my coefficients are the same. So let's look to see what you think I have here. I have a 1x and a 3x. They're not the same or opposite. So I can't do anything to eliminate them. This is a -1y and this is a +1y. Are those the same or opposite? Y'all are super quiet here. -1y and +1y. Are they the same or are they opposite?
Opposite?
They're opposite. Very good, Gianni and Mia. So opposite tells me I add to eliminate them. The reason why they eliminate is because -1 plus +1 becomes 0. So the y disappears. So now we're going to add everything else. 1x plus 3x, which should just be 4x. 10 plus 18, which is 28. Now finish solving for my variable. Finish solving for x. So what do we get? Divide by 4, so x equals 7. Remember, if you get one of your variables to equal something, it's automatically one solution. I got x to equal something. Now I need to find y. So remember, in order to find y, let me actually see my equations here. Remember, in order to find y, take what x equals 7. Take what x equals and plug it back into one of the equations, either the top or the bottom. It doesn't matter which one. I'm going to use the bottom this time. So 3 times x, well, x is 7. Finish the bottom. Plus y equals 18. I'm trying to solve for y. So 3 times 7 is 21.
Daddy, I need help.
Brigham, one second, guys. Brigham, what do you need help with, baby?
Huh?
What do you need help with?
Can you come down here?
Can you bring it up here really quick?
Right.
So in order to get y by itself, get rid of that positive 21, subtract 21. So y equals 18 minus 21 is -3. So you solved for your other variable. And if you were to check on your graphing calculator, these lines would intersect at that one point. That one point makes these equations true.
See Miss Falco.
Okay, come here.
I can only see me and Emmy.
Can you hear her? Give me a second, guys. I don't know what you did.
Daddy know what I did.
He does know what you did. He knows how to fix it. Then go take it to him, okay? Sorry. Sorry, guys. All right, what questions do we have on number 7? So far, both of our equations, one we used subtraction and that eliminated your y's as well. This one we used addition and I eliminated my y's. You're not always going to be eliminating y's. It just depends on what type of problem you have. Okay, sometimes you'll be eliminating x's. It really just depends. And so far, we've seen both of our answers with one solution. Let's see if we can find some problems that have different types of solutions. So I think we're going to jump to number 9. Let's go to number 9. All right, so for number 9, you got to remember your first step is to make sure that your x's and y's are together on one side and that they're lined up. If you look at this first problem, it doesn't look to me like your x's and y's are on the same side. So I have to fix that first problem before I can do anything. I got to get my x's and y's on one side and I got to get them lined up. This y is already by itself. Let's bring the whole 2x over. It's a positive 2x, so let's subtract it. So remember, these aren't like terms. You can't subtract them. So just rewrite it. Your negative 2x first, and then your positive 4y next. And it equals, what's that, a negative 8? So I'm going to fix it over here. Remember, whatever equation's on top has got to stay on top. You cannot fix it and rewrite it below. Okay, so I want to see them actually lined up. So I'm just going to rewrite the whole entire thing right down here so I can see them fully lined up. Keeping whatever equation's on top, whatever's on bottom. All right, now let's decide. So my x's are lined up, my y's are lined up, x's and y's are on one side. So step 1 is done. So in this situation for this problem, I had to do a little bit more work than I had to in the other problems. All right, do you see coefficients that are the same or do you see coefficients that are opposite? So look at your coefficients on x, look at your coefficients on y, and tell me what y'all think. Whether you see the same or whether you see opposite. Anybody, what do you guys see? Do you see coefficients that are the same or coefficients that are opposite? You can tell it's Monday. You guys are quiet. Look at your coefficients on x. Are they the same or are they opposite?
It's the opposite for both.
Or are they neither?
Looks like opposite.
What about our coefficients on x, people? Are they the same? They're neither, Jonathan. Thank you. Look at your coefficients on y. They must be something then. Are your coefficients on y the same or opposite? What do we think? Y's are opposite. And opposite tells me to add to eliminate them. Because 4y plus negative 4, y is 0, and that y disappears. Now let's add everything else. Negative 2x plus 5x, which would give me what, 3x? And then add the other side, negative 8 plus 20, which gives me 12. In order to get x by itself, divide everything by 3. So x equals 12 divided by 3 is 4. Remember, if you get your variable to equal something, it is one solution. So I found my x, I now have to find my y. In order to find y, take your x and plug it back into the first equation, the second equation, or the new first equation. You have options here. I always just plug it into the first equation. I'm going to take that first equation, and wherever I see x, I'm going to plug in what it equals. So 4y equals 2 times x, which is 4, minus 8. So 2 times 4 minus 8. What's that? 2 times 4 is 8. 8 minus 8 is 0. If I finish solving for y by dividing both sides by 4, y equals 0 divided by 4 is 0. So I got the other part of my solution. You've got to remember, if you get one variable to equal something, you've got to go find that other variable. It's interesting, in all 3 problems we've done so far, all of them have eliminated the y's. Just keep in mind, that's not always going to be the case. It just so happens on these 3 that we did already. Anybody have any questions on number 9? All right, let's try number 10. Hopefully we'll find one that gives me a different solution than one solution. So let's look at number 10. All right, remember, step 1 is to make sure that x and y are on the same side and that your x's and y's are lined up. And it looks to me like they are. Your equals is lined up, your constant numbers are lined up. You're good to go, okay? So do you see coefficients that are the same, or do you see coefficients that are opposite? So look at your coefficients in front of x. Gianni says the same. It looks to me like both the x's and the y's are the same. What's going to happen here? Same tells me I subtract to eliminate what's the same, because 3x minus 3x is 0. And anything that's the same subtracted from itself is going to be 0. And negative 4y, yes, Gianni? Negative 4y minus negative 4y, those cancel too. So your variables disappeared. You can't leave the left side blank. So you got to put a 0. They cancel to 0. Now let's subtract the right side. Negative 10 minus negative 13. Well, what is that? Double negative becomes a positive. So negative 10 plus 13 is positive 3. So your variables have disappeared and you are left with, remember, when your variables disappear, you're left with either a true statement or a false statement. I sure hope you can tell me that this is false because they don't equal each other. Put a slash to show it doesn't equal. And if they're not equal, your answer is no solution. Remember, if it's no solution, I can't go back and do any more work. My variables have disappeared. There's nothing else I can do. So that's it. You're done. This is kind of part of your answer too. So if you were actually to check on your graphing calculator, if you put both of these equations in, you would see that they're parallel because there's no solution. They never touch. So it's kind of nice when your variables disappear because there's not much for you to do. All right, let's try one more, and then I'm going to have you guys try 2 on your own. Anybody have any questions on number 10 with a no solution? All right, let's jump to number 11 then. All right, so for number 11, remember, step 1 is you have to have your X's and Y's on the same side and lined up. It looks like you have that in the first equation, but it doesn't look like you have that in the second equation. So I'm going to bring this second equation over here and I'm going to try to fix it. I can't get past step 1 without them being in standard form together on one side. All right, so it looks like my negative 1y is by itself. Bring the 2x over. How do you bring the 2x over? It's a positive 2x. The opposite would be negative 2x. So remember, they're not like terms. Do not put them together. So the x part, negative 2x, and the y part, negative 1y, should equal positive 10. So I'm going to cross this off here because this is changing. I'm just going to rewrite both of these below. Whatever equation's on top stays on top. Whatever equation is on bottom stays on bottom. I just like to have them lined up there. All right, so now that you have them in standard form, X is lined up, Y is lined up, now you need to decide, do you see coefficients that are the same or do you see coefficients that are opposite? What do you all think here? So look at those coefficients. Do you see the same or do you see opposite? What are our thoughts? Very good. I see opposite also. And remember, don't you see opposite both on X and Y? So let's see what's going to happen. Opposite tells you to add because I eliminate what's opposite because 2x plus negative 2x is 0. And 1y plus negative 1y is also 0. So they both disappear. So this side turns into a 0. I cannot leave it blank. Now let's add the right side, negative 10 plus positive 10. Well, negative 10 plus positive 10 should be 0. Your variables disappeared. So remember, it's either going to be true or false. Looks to me like that's true. If it's true, your answer is infinite solutions. Remember, when your variables disappear, you either get true or false, and then you can't go. Once you get true or false, you put your answer, which is infinite solutions, and I can't go any further. There's nothing else I can do. I have my answer. If I were to double check myself on the calculator, put in the top equation, put in the bottom on my graphing calculator, I would see that they're literally the same exact line. They're one on top of the other, which means they have infinite solutions because every point touches. So there's always ways you can check yourself to make sure your answer is correct, but you got to make sure your work matches those answers. Because I'm noticing some people are wanting to go right to the calculator and check their answer, and then the work doesn't match, and I can't help you there. All right, what questions do we have on that one? All right, y'all, let me check. Let's go to our Google slide and let's check which ones you guys are going to do on your own. So if you go to slide number 4, it looks to me like you guys are doing number 3 and number 5 on your own. Okay, and then you're taking pictures. Now make sure your pictures are clear. Remember, you stay on Google Meets, you're doing 3 and 5 on your own, and then you should take a picture of the whole entire front and the whole entire back. If your pictures are not clear and in a well-lit room, I'm just going to send it back to you. Does anyone have any questions on what they need to do? I'm going to give you a hint on number 3 and number 5. Your answer for both of them will be one solution. So you will have to find that one solution. All right, if no one has any questions, I'll still be here. I'll just mute myself for a little bit until you have a question, so you can either type in the chat or unmute yourself. All right, happy working on number 3 and number 5. Sergio, give me 1 sec. Jonathan, give me 1 sec. How do you solve for x on number 3? Okay, let me present my screen and let's look at number 3. Why is my screen not presenting? All right, so Jonathan and Sergio and anyone else that might be having trouble on number 3. Let's go look at number 3. Is that the correct number 3? Let me make sure I have the correct number 3. It looks to me like I do. Okay, so follow your steps. Oops. Jonathan, let me answer your question before I help Sergio. Jonathan, did you solve for y? Okay, so Jonathan, once you solve for y, you just go back and plug y either into the top equation or the bottom equation to get your x. It doesn't matter which one you use to plug y back into, as long as you do your work correctly. So take y, plug it back in to the top or the bottom to solve for x, your choice. All right, Sergio. So look, step 1 is to make sure that your X's and Y's are together on one side and that they're lined up. And it looks to me like my X's are lined up, my Y's are lined up, and I'm good to go. Okay, Sergio? Now you need to check. Gianni, give me a second, sweetie. I'm getting there, okay? Now, Gianni's saying he subtracted the 3's because you have to decide whether you add or subtract. These coefficients are the same. So Gianni's saying I subtracted because they eliminate to 0. Now, if you do that, you subtract everything else. So negative 10y, oops, oh, I was wondering why it was weird because I'm on the wrong thing. Negative 10y minus negative 9y. Remember, double negative becomes a positive. So what does that give you? Negative 1y. And then subtract the other side, 14 minus 15. Okay, then finish solving for y here and go from there. Does that help you all? All right, perfect. Y'all finish solving the rest. Once you find y, you have to find x also. So then you go back and plug y either into the top or the bottom to find x. All right, keep working hard. Caden Fallon, I see yours turned in. Give me a sec to check. Caden, I responded back to you, so see my response. Kendall, I just helped with number 3, sweetie. Let's look at it again, okay? Can you see number 3 on the screen, Kendall? Kendall, can you see number 3 on the screen, sweetie? So I can help you? Okay. All right. So remember, your very first step is you need to make sure that your X's and Y's are on the same side together and that they're lined up. It looks like you have that for both equations. X's and Y's together on one side, X's and Y's together on one side, and they're lined up this way. Okay, and then your equal signs lined up and your constant numbers lined up. So you're ready to go. You have to decide, are your coefficients the same or are they opposite? Do you see coefficients that are the same or do you see coefficients that are opposite? Let's start there. What do you think you see, Kendall? I'm talking about like what one would I use to put? Oh, so you solve for y, Kendall? All right, Kendall. So you solve for y, sweetie. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which one you use. You either use the top equation or the bottom equation. Plug y in and then solve for x. That's your choice, Kendall. Good job.
Where's AM and PM?
Oh, AM is in the morning and PM. Kaden, give me 1 second. I'll pull number 5 up, okay? Yes, Gianni. Gianni, you've got to subtract everything. And I showed you that. If you look, I'm going to go backwards at like 11:25. If you look at my work when I helped you and you and Sergio were asking, I showed you that. All right, Caden. Oh, Caden, there's number 5. Okay. Caden Bowles, can you see number 5? All right. Anybody else that's having trouble with number 5? Let's pay attention. All right, Caden, remember what? What am I trying to say? Oh, step 1 is you have to make sure your X's and Y's are together on one side and that they're lined up. And it looks to me like my X's and Y's are together on one side there, and my X's and Y's are together on one side there. X's are lined up, Y's are lined up, equal signs are lined up, and 5 and 11 is lined up. Constant numbers. So I'm good to go. I don't have to do much work for this one. So now I need to go to step 2, which means I need to decide if I'm going to add or subtract. Remember, adding or subtracting depends on if you have coefficients that are the same or coefficients that are opposite. Caden, what do you see? Do you see coefficients that are the same or do you see coefficients that are opposite? Very good, Caden Bowles. I see these X's. They are opposite. Does opposite tell me to add or does it tell me to subtract? Very good, Caden. So I add and they eliminate because 4x plus negative 4x cancels. So now add everything else. 9y plus 7y equals, and then add the other right side, 5 plus 11. Does that give you a jump start, Caden? All right, go ahead and finish from there. Keep working hard, guys. Let me know if you have any more questions. Sorry, Gianni, what question are you talking about, sweetie? What number? Number 3 or 5? Okay, Gianni, and I explained this too, okay, honey? I think you're missing, you might be, I don't know if you're hearing parts of what I'm saying or what. That's why I put these stars here, because I said once you finish solving for y, take y and plug it back into the top equation or the bottom equation so you can solve for x. Does that help you, Gianni? Well, Gianni, if you're using the top equation, okay, if you're using that top equation, Gianni, yes, you keep x, sweetie, because you're trying to solve for x. So you do 3x minus 10 times y. What did you get for y, Gianni? You got 1. Okay, now finish the rest of the top. Equals 14. Okay, now think of what you're going to do here. in order to solve for x. Okay, so use this and go ahead and do the work to solve for x. Do you subtract 3x from both sides? Gianni, you're trying to solve for x, right, sweetie? So it looks to me like you'd have to do this multiplication first. You're not touching 3x. You're not bringing it to both sides. So you got 3x. If I do negative 10 times 1, that gives me negative 10. You are trying to solve for x. You cannot touch the 3x until you get rid of the negative 10. Okay, so think about that. Okay, Marwell, give me a second to check, buddy. Marwell, great job. You got nice, beautiful, neat work there, buddy. You can have a good day. I'll see you tomorrow, Marwell. Marwell's the only one that can leave. Chastity, give me a sec. All right, Chastity, I just helped some people out with number 5. I guess you missed it. Let's look at the screen. Can you see number 5, Chastity? All right, so remember, step 1 says that you need to make sure that your x's and y's, Mia, give me a sec, I'll check. So Chastity, step 1 says that your x's and y's have to be together on one side and lined up. X's and y's are together on one side. X's and y's are together one side. X's are lined up. Y's are lined up. So you're good to go. You're ready to go to step 2. Okay. So now, Chastity, step 2 says you need to decide whether you're going to add or whether you're going to subtract. I add if I see coefficients that are opposite. I subtract if I see coefficients that are the same. Chastity, what do you think you see? Check your coefficients in front of x, check your coefficients in front of y. Do you see coefficients that are the same or do you see coefficients that are opposite? And then type in the chat to tell me. Very good, Chastity. I see opposites as well. Does opposite tell me to add or subtract? Kendall, give me a second. Chastity, does opposite tell me to add or subtract? no, you got to think of this. Opposite equals add. Same is subtract. So I always think SS, same, subtract. Okay, so you want to add to eliminate what's opposite. The reason why they eliminate is because 4 plus negative 4 is 0. If you would have subtracted them, you would have gotten 8x. Okay, so be careful. Now add everything else. 9y plus 7y and 5 plus 11. Now go ahead and finish. Combine these like terms. Solve for y. Once you get y to equal something, take it back up top to either the top or the bottom equation. Put y in to solve for x. Does that help you, Chastity? Okay. Great job, Mia. You may go. Mia's the only one that can go. Kendall, I'm checking yours. Kendall, great job. I'll see you tomorrow. Kendall's the only one that can leave. Sergio, give me 1 second and I will help you with number 5. Let me check Jonathan's. Hey, Jonathan. Jonathan, what's 6 minus 18 on question number 3? What's 6 minus 18, buddy? Yes, it looks to me like you have a positive 12. So it should be negative 12 divided by 6, which is negative 2. It looks to me like you had a negative 2, but I don't know how you had that if you didn't have the negative 12 on the other side. So just fix it on that side. Let me check the next one. Okay, Jonathan, yours is perfect. You may go. Have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow. Jonathan's the only one that can go. It's not letting you upload your pictures, Kaden. What's the deal? What's it saying, Kaden? Kaden, if you need to restart your computer, maybe think about that, okay? All right, Sergio, let me help you with number 5, buddy. Can you see number 5, Sergio? All right, bud. So remember, step 1 is my x's and y's have to be on the same side. I have that for the top equation. I have it for the bottom equation. Also in step 1, I have to make sure my x's are lined up and my y's are lined up. And it looks like I have that. So I'm ready to begin step number 2. Step number 2 tells you, do you want to use addition or subtraction? Remember, I use addition if the coefficients are opposite. I use subtraction if I see coefficients that are the same. Remember, Sergio, opposite means one is +5 and one is -5. The same number, just different signs. Same means they're literally the same. So look at the coefficients on x and look at the coefficients on y. Sergio, do you see coefficients that are the same or do you see coefficients that are opposite? Very good, Sergio. So opposite tells me to add. So I add to eliminate them. They eliminate because 4 plus -4 would be 0. Now let's add everything else, Sergio. 9y plus 7y. 5 plus 11. Kaden, you don't need to print them, honey. You don't need to print them. You just need to write them on a sheet of paper. Okay, I told you the other day, if you don't have your papers, you need to just write it on a sheet of paper or print them ahead of time so you're not in this situation. Okay? All right, Sergio, if you add everything else, combine these, and then you can solve for y, Sergio. Once you get y, plug it back into either the top or the bottom equation to get x. Does that help you, Sergio? All right, buddy, keep working. If you have another question, let me know. Kaden Fallon, on the Google slide on number 4, you can just pull the other questions up, write them on a sheet of paper, and do them. Okay, if you want it printed, you need to make sure you have it printed ahead of time. Admirals, give me a second to check. Kaden, but I'm pretty sure I told you something was wrong on one of those questions, so you cannot leave until everything is turned in, including the questions we did together. So I think it was number 3 you need to fix, and then the questions we did together you need to fix. Admirals, great job, sweetie. You may leave. Admiral's the only one that can leave. Gianni, give me 1 sec. Sorry, yes, Gianni. Now, once you solve for y, Gianni, take y and plug it into one of the equations, either the top or the bottom equation. That's your choice, Gianni. Caden Fallon, please stop. It is not that difficult, sweetie, to follow the rules. If you're not going to follow the rules, that is on you. You will not be able to leave until you finish the problems we did together. So like I said, on slide number 4, please pull it up and do those problems that we did together. You don't have to print anything. That's a decision you made. Caden Bowles, I will check yours in a second, sweetie. Good job, Caden Bowles. You may leave. Caden, I've given you numerous options. Yes, you need to go do everything now. You can't leave till the end of class, which is 11:25. Okay, I gave you options to go to the school to pick up your packet, or to print it ahead of time, or to write it on a sheet of paper. You chose to print it, and you said you would have it printed ahead of time. Remember, you made the decision. Astrid, sweetie, I see yours, and I'll go check. So Caden, there's no reason you should have to sign, Caden P, there's no reason you should have to sign out of this meet. Just go to your home computer like you say, leave this meet up, go to your home computer and print it if that's what you're so worried about. You shouldn't have to log out of this meet to go into your home computer and print it. Astrid, sweetie, I want you to go look at number 3. Do you see number 3, Astrid? All right, so Astrid, if you look at number 3, you have -1y equals -1. If you finish dividing by y, or sorry, if you finish solving for y, what are you dividing both sides by? It looks to me like you would need to divide both sides by -1, right, Astrid? So -1 divided by, wait, I'm confused, Astrid. Hold on, Astrid. Wait, Astrid, hold on one second, honey.
Hello.
Oh yeah, I'm on the right one. So,
Yeah.
Astrid, if you, so then -1 divided by -1, wouldn't that be +1 for y?
Technological issues with 3D, getting information on how it's supposed to be split process.
Okay, so that's going to make your x part wrong, Astrid. Okay, so you got to fix that. And for number 5, it looks like you solved for y, but you never went back. Let me make sure you solved for y correctly. Yeah, you solved for y correctly on number 5, but you never went back and solved for x. So you're going to need to fix that, okay? Sergio, you needed help with number 5, sweetie? I left you at this part. You should be able to see it on the screen, right, Sergio? All right, so you can see it on the screen. Sergio, can you tell me what you did from this part? Remember, I told you to combine this, right? What'd you get for 9y plus 7y? Good. And then 5 plus 11, what'd you get for that? There. So 5 plus 11, you should get 16 also. So did you finish solving for y? Remember, Sergio, to get y by itself, you have to divide by 16, right? Oops. So 16 divided by 16 equals what? Chastity's helping you there. So once you get one variable, you know your answer has to be one solution. And then you got to find the other variable. So my y is what I found. Now I got to take y and plug it back into the top or the bottom equation. It doesn't matter which one you use. Which one do you want to use, the top equation or the bottom equation? So if you take the top, wherever I see y, I have to plug in that y equals 1. So let's rewrite the top equation. 4x plus 9 times y, which is 1, equals 5. Now I think I'm helping both Sergio and Chastity. So who can tell me what should I do here? I need to solve for x. What should I do first in order to solve for x? Remember, you can't touch this 4x until you get rid of this. Well, what does this equal? What is 9 times 1? Yeah, you got to multiply that first. Good, Chastity. So 9 times 1 is 9. So you can't touch 4x until you get rid of that plus 9. How do you get rid of plus 9? It is a positive. So you wouldn't want to add it. What's the opposite? You do the opposite of what it is. So if it's an addition, what's the opposite of addition? It would be subtraction. So I'm going to subtract 9. So 4x equals 5 minus 9 is negative 4. How am I going to finish solving for x? Well, Gianni, you can look on right here, buddy. I'm doing number 5. Chastity and Sergio, how do I finish solving for x here? What should I do? Very good. So Chastity said divide. So if I divide by 4, what is negative 4 divided by 4? Check yourself on that calculator, Sergio. It would be negative 1. Negative divided by a positive is a negative, and 4 divided by 4 is negative 1. So there is my solution. Gianni, let me ask you a question about number 3. Go to your work for number 3, Gianni. So Gianni, on number 3, I see on the left-hand side, I see negative 1y equals negative 1. To finish solving for y, what do you do to both sides? Okay, so negative 1 divided by negative 1, and negative divided by negative is a positive. So y should be positive 1. You have your x value correct, but then when you wrote your answer and circled it, it looks like you flipped your x and y. Remember, an ordered pair, x comes first and then y, Gianni. So fix that on your paper for number 3, and then I'll check number 5. All right, Gianni, once you flip that, yeah, you flipped it x and y, but you still had y wrong. So make sure fix that on your paper. You don't need to return it in, Gianni, but then you're good to go, Gianni. Gianni, I said you could leave, buddy. Yep, Gianni, you're good. All right, everybody else. Does anybody have any last minute questions? Because it's about time to leave. So if you have not finished, make sure you finish on your own and then turn it back in. Any last minute questions before we leave? Okay, if you have no questions, you may leave. If you have a question, you can stay. Chastity and Sergio, do you guys have a question? Okay, if you have no questions, you can leave. Just turn it in on your own, okay? So Sergio, you can go. Chastity, do you have a question? All right, Chastity and Sergio, you guys can leave since you don't have, oops, wait, someone typed in the chat. Give me a second, Sergio. One sec, Sergio, I'll check number 3. Sergio, I see what's wrong with number 3, buddy. Let me help you fix it, okay? You still there, Sergio? Okay, let me help you fix it. You can fix it on your paper. So I think I left you here, and I'm pretty sure you divided this by -1 and you divided that by -1, and you got y equals +1. Okay? So remember, if you get one of your variables to equal something, you have to find the other. Then you took I don't know what you did after that, honey. So now you have to solve for y. So Sergio, do you want to use the top equation or the bottom equation to solve for x? Sorry, I got to get x. So what equation do you want to use, Sergio? The top one or the bottom one, sweetie? All right, so Sergio, that means in the top equation, wherever I see y, I plug in what y equals. So let's rewrite the top equation. 3x minus 10 times y. Well, you got y to equal 1. And then finish it, equals 14. All right, now remember, multiply first. So 3x negative 10 times 1 is minus 10. Sergio, what do you want me to do next, bud? I'm trying to solve for x, right? Can't touch that until I get rid of minus 10. How do I get rid of minus 10? It is a subtracting 10. The opposite of subtracting 10 is adding 10. Okay, so 3x equals 14 plus 10 is 24. If you divide both sides by 3, x equals 8. 24 divided by 3 is 8. So just fix that on your paper, Sergio. You don't have to take another picture. I will fix it on my end. Okay. All right, bud, just fix it on your paper. Don't take another picture, and I will see you tomorrow, okay?
I mean, it seems like with math, it's obviously what their kids with math teachers.
All right, have a good day, buddy.
The way we're gonna go, I need to go with just have my kids go to social studies teachers.
Bye, bud.